Let's remember before Enron and after Enron. Let's remember 2008 financial crisis.
Good comeback. So
Right?
got the both
Let's
races.
remember 2008 financial crisis.
Yeah.
So the world before that and world after that.
If you're going to hide behind the fact that I have to approach this from a risk standpoint and not about approaching HR, technology, call it whatever you want, your culture, your people, from how do we innovate in our own space to be the best company that we can, to kind of make sure that innovation is happening, because as an HR community, we have created a culture that encourages this. That is the only way you will survive. If you continue to approach the way you innovate in your company from a deterministic standpoint, I need this output, as opposed to approaching it from a probabilistic standpoint, saying, I would like this output, and you're going to lose. So it doesn't matter whatever you try to do from a risk standpoint, you will lose if you do not take innovation as the first approach in your people's strategy.
I think I can just add to that. I mean, especially in the world which we live in the tech world, it is, if you want to keep talent, they want to be there because you're doing something great. I mean, you can do all the other adjustments, etc., but unless you give them opportunity to really do something phenomenal, satisfactory work, which gives them a lot of pleasure, they won't be around. So it all depends.
The permission to innovate is only born from the necessity of controlling risk.
Yes.
So I don't even know what I said, thank you. But I take issue actually with the slide. The slide that showed $800 and some million of investment didn't represent that one organization received $500 million of that investment. If we eliminate Zenefits, who's valued at $4.5 billion at 3 years of operations,
with 10,000 customers.
It's funny money. It's absurdity. And we are back into the dot-com era in HR technology is my concern. What I would suggest, therefore, is that the means by which we drive ourselves toward innovation is to take the impossible task of keeping up with legal and regulatory controls, legislative demands, counting on our partners in HR technology to use their reach to be everywhere we can't be, and our managers can't be, and they can never be experts in all those areas. And only by getting out of that whack-a-mole hole will they have permission to start to innovate and drive the kind of innovation I think we need.
Actually, I personally believe that you have to be in the moment. It's not about futuristic stuff. It's not about planning for next 10 years. You have to be in here right now in order to innovate. So I don't say futuristic. I think we all should be embracing nowist. And you should be here now and in order to go ahead and
What
innovate.
they're saying is that we will rather seek an apology than a permission, right?
You know, I work for quite a few Fortune 500 companies. They don't exist anymore. It just so happens that whichever one I joined, it doesn't exist anymore. They were tech companies. They couldn't really keep up with the tenor. And by the way, you know, this is a philosophical thing for me. I think this is God's way. Because when you become too large, you forget how to innovate. And then somebody comes in, creates something else, you move on. It is, at the end of the day, all about people. It is about people who innovate. It is you giving them the freedom to innovate. You know, I can put encryption, I can put a VPN, I can do all the controls, but if I don't give them the environment to actually think freely, create something, it won't happen.
If you lead from a perspective of risk, you are going to slow the company down. It doesn't matter which company you're in.
Wonderful point.
You are absolutely going to slow the company down because you are going to create a culture of fear that I cannot innovate, or if I innovate, if I fail, there is a stake at the end of it.
We're not saying we shouldn't innovate. Of course you have to innovate. If you don't innovate, you will die. Sure. We agree with that. We said that ourselves, right? It's risky not to innovate.
You're already scaring me, right? This is what happens when the risk people talk. Who holds the power? You little young creature out there who's trying to innovate. I hold the power.
Don't be innovative with that answer now, okay?
If you were in the audience and you were this 25-year-old engineer trying to innovate, out comes the risk guy with his black coat and says, be careful. And then I'm like, my God, I'll just stay back.
Hold. Agree with you.
There
Madan, here is a last comment on this rebuttal.
is no question of slowing down. There is only a question of just being aware that you need to operate within the right framework. So which is the reason even the Facebook or the Genpact, every company needs a board of directors.
I want to stop. There is no right framework. There is no right framework. Uber did not start by saying we'll operate in the right framework.
Right, when Uber has an accident, then where do you go?
you still get another Uber. You don't go get another taxi person.
It's not about slowing down. It is about making sure that you're aware of what's right.
You know, if you're continuously thinking of risk, how will you create something? All these companies, all the great companies we all work for, they all didn't start off thinking of risk. They started thinking of risk much later on to preserve their wealth, to show this corporate governance, to show all this stuff, right? You wanted other people to invest in it. The fact of the matter is that a mindset of risk, starting with a mindset of risk, I think is a non-starter for any organization which wants to continuously grow, continuously innovate, and be relevant from time to time.
It is not about starting with a mindset of risk. It's about ensuring that you do not put your business to risk. It's about survival, right? And if you need to survive, stay afloat, you need to embrace technology within HR. It's about ensuring that the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted so that you're not in trouble and you're not extinct, because if you're not there, what are you going to innovate anyway, right? So that's the point.
Let's talk about HR technology, to your point. Why wouldn't you think about innovating on saying, okay, we have built a good stack, let's open source this. Tesla, for example, has open sourced their entire design of their car. Facebook, we've open sourced our entire data center design. How many HR technologies over here have said, you know, we have something good, we will open source this. And we will now integrate with 5 vendors out there who have fantastic search and algorithmic technologies out there. But we are not ready for that because this is like, oh, this data is ours. We cannot allow something else to come in. So the fact that the risk people slow you down all the time is
so
what
he's
is happening.
Samadan, hold on. We'll have to bring this to close, right? Thank you. This was interesting. You were almost getting smudged, so I just decided to close it. But I was thinking, I just want to say one thing. I've been an entrepreneur myself. I want to just let you know that when I started, I was taking risk with my colleagues who are sitting here. But every day, we used to think about risk. Every day. Risk taking comes when we think about risk. So it's not that we didn't think about risk, but the reality was everything that we were doing was innovation so that we can survive risk. Thank you so much.